Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast, and Command Fest Online is just around the corner. One person who I know will be there with a sweet deck is Corey Bowen. The Commander 2020 lead designer has an awesome Commander deck that I wanted him to do an in-depth deck tech on for you all today. So Corey, take it away.
Hi, I'm Corey Bowen. I'm a game designer in Magic R&D. I'm here to show off what my favorite Commander deck is in my favorite Commander deck box. Here's the deck. Hope you like it. This is my Marchesa robots list. So this is a list with Marchesa the Black Rose that is about artifacts. It's centered around the modular mechanic, and the deck building twist I have in my deck is that I have no artifacts in the deck that aren't artifact creatures, so I wanted to build an artifact creature deck. So these are all the modular creatures that go in it. I pretty much run all of them except for the Sunburst one. Ravager's the real all-star here, as he just lets everyone recur constantly. Using Marchesa's ability, the idea here is that we sacrifice all of our modular creatures with counters to put a bunch of counters on just one creature, and then they come back all the time with more counters using Marchesa's ability. Here are some spicier cards in the list. Sly Requisitioner is going to give me a 1/1 servo every time an artifact dies, and using stuff like Ravager and recurring all my modular creatures with Marchesa, they die and come back a lot in this deck. In a similar way, Marinette Master is going to give me a really fun win condition when my artifact creatures die. In addition, she has Fabricate 3, so she actually protects herself with Marchesa, which is really cool. Triskelion is another win condition. If I have a lot of counters on the board, I can just stack them all on Triskelion and start killing people if the game's going too long. Steel Overseer is perfect for the deck. It just puts a count on all my artifact creatures. This helps them come back with Marchesa, or just makes my board swole. Extruder is kind of a card that would only go in this deck and this deck alone. You sacrifice artifacts to put counters on other creatures. So this is really good to get my modular creatures recurring if I don't have another sack outlet, while also providing protection to all of my creatures, including Marchesa. These are the board wipes I'm trying out. So Reaver Demon is quite strong in the fact that it destroys all non-artifact creatures. This doesn't destroy anything in my deck, so it's kind of just a Plague Wind on a body. This is Phyrexian Scriptures. This does everything we want it to be. On Chapter 2, it's destroying all non-artifact creatures, and in Chapter 1, it's putting a counter on something, which helps with Marchesa, and turns it into an artifact. This is a great way to turn Marchesa into an artifact to start getting counters on her, just doing exactly what we want. Gruesome Slaughter is kind of janky, but I'm interested in trying out. Those piles were most of my card advantage and recursion comes from. These are kind of the cooler cards that are out of the bunch. Mindless Automaton draws you a ton of cards if you can stack counters on it, so this is kind of one of your best sources of card draw if you can get it out in the deck. Mirrodin Besiege is actually in win condition. The Mirren form that makes a mirror every time you cast an artifact seems quite decent in this deck, but honestly I'm always going for the Phyrexian win. And then Scarecrow is actually perfect. Since most of my deck is artifact creatures, it just zombifies artifact creatures, so it's another card that I don't see anywhere else, and it does a lot of work here. Here are some of my more impactful enter the battlefield abilities that start getting really awesome when you can put counters on them through Modular and then flicker them using Marchesa and sacrifice outlets. I've got just removal, a bunch of mirrors, and then Combustible Gearhulk is just fun to recur all the time. Here's a lot of generic heavy hitters you kind of see in a usual artifact deck, but I wanted to outline these two cards that are the all-stars in this deck. So Phyrexian Manamorph does a really good job at getting another Marchesa out on the board that can get counters on it, which kind of provides resiliency for your Marchesa. Usually when you have a bunch of modular creatures and a Phyrexian Manamorph that is a Marchesa with a counter on it, it takes like 3 instant board wipes to take you out. Golden Steel Dragon does a lot of work here, keeping you off the throne, actually, and can swing in for the win quite often when you're have such big guys and put a lot of counters on it. And that's the deck. Quick note on power level. This deck is designed so it can play fun and casual at 5 and 6, but also be quite competitive due to its resiliency at 7 and 8. If you have any suggestions, like if you think there's something cooler you can do about it, send that to me on Twitter. Thanks a lot for having me, Gavin. This was fun.
Thanks, Corey. And you all can find the deck list in the description below. And while you're there, leave a comment. Would you like to see more deck techs like this? What'd you think about the deck? Let us know. And if you want to try making your own deck tech, Channel Fireball Events is asking for people to put their own deck techs out on Twitter that are 2 minutes or less, so give it a try. I'll be back to talk with you again soon, and in the meantime, may your Marchesa always come back with the +1/+1 counter. You got this.